I have so many conversations in my mind because so many times I want to quit. But this is what it is. This is what I figured out. I was so afraid of myself that I had to figure out, I became a master of my mind. When you're afraid of something, you have to master it. That's how you start to overcome it. So what I realized, when I get to that point where I want to quit, this is what happens. The mind tells you, let's go home. Let's take a warm shower. Let's get some food. This is not right. This is that. If you cannot answer the questions at that moment, because your mind's going to start giving you all these questions. And if you can't answer them, you're going to quit. What I realized when I was going through 100-mile race, 200-mile races, pull-up records, my mind would come creeping in. Like when I was doing 2,000 pull-ups and my hands were ripped open, my mind said, look, brother, we've done all these other things. You've proven yourself. You're good. If I didn't have the answer to respond to my mind and say why I'm here, why I'm doing this, you will always lose that fight. You have to have the response to what your mind is going to tell you. And another thing about that is self-talk. A lot of people have like these big four on mental toughness. All that's crap about self-talk. A lot of people think self-talk works. It does. But it doesn't work without the suffering before your mind starts saying we need self-talk. So what I tell myself is I go back to the months and years of preparation to get to that day. And I'm telling myself that 3:30 in the morning, if I'm looking at my shoes and I want to go out there and run 30 miles, I have to, in that second, in that moment of this self-talk, my mind saying, you got to find more, I once again calm down, go back into my mind, in my cookie jar, I call it, and I have to reflect back, and that becomes my self-talk. Self-talk does not work unless it is real. Most of us lie to ourselves in the self-talk. It doesn't work. It has to be real. It has to be something that you've done to make it really work. So we read a bunch of books nowadays. As humans, we want to find out how to be someone else. What we don't do is we don't go inside. So literally turn yourself inside out. Like we're writing a book every day of our lives, but we never read that book. So what I would challenge this young man or young woman to do is you have to look inside of yourself to see what you really want. What are you passionate about? I get so tired of hearing people just talking. Like right now, someone may think Goggins is just talking. You don't know me. So when I speak from passion. I speak from experience. I speak from suffering. The only way you're ever going to get to the other side of this journey is you have got to suffer. To grow, you must suffer. And some people will get it, some people won't. But they have to see what their journey is to start their journey. Several people live to be 100 years old, and they have great lives, and they have great kids, and kids go to college and all sorts of stuff. But somewhere in their life, there was a point where they had a decision to make. They can go left or right on this path. Left was the easy route. Right was the hard route. A lot of people take the easy route. And they had a good life that way, but the better life was going to the right side. And you may have 20 years of pain and suffering to get past it, but a lot of us die never truly starting our journey. And I would tell this young person, you got to start your journey. It may suck, but it will come out the other side where you're coasting. The cookie jar is something that I've made up of all the failures of my life, all the things that I failed and I went back. I failed and I went back and I finally succeeded. All the things that kicked my ass. I put them all in the cookie jar because at times of hell, even the hardest men, in times of suffering, what we do is we forget how hard we really are. Because that's what suffering is. Suffering is a test. That's all it is. Suffering is the true test of life. And so that cookie jar travels in my brain. So whenever I get put in a situation where I have poopy pants, the woe is me mentality of, oh my God, life sucks. I take the 1 second decision. I step out of my life for 1 second, go in the cookie jar, pull up, oh, you were in 3 hell weeks and finished 2. I put it back in the cookie jar and I remember who I really am. I'm not the scared kid. This is who I am. It's a reminder of who you truly are at the core of yourself. But what I was saying to myself the whole time on that track, this is what I say to myself. Self-talk and visualization are the two keys to my success. I believed for that last 19 miles, I was indestructible. Because I took myself in that chair, crapping up my back, peeing blood down my leg. I used all that for motivation versus negativity. I used it for motivation. I said to myself, who on this earth would still be going right now? You are. You gotta be the hardest on the planet. Is it true? I believed it. At that time, it got me to the finish line of that race. I believe it today. I believed it enough to where my body said, he's not gonna stop. And I took all the negative things. I need to go to the hospital, this and that. And I used it all. Who the hell could even get out of that chair? You did. Who the hell would even think about taping stretch fractures up? You did. All those things I used for motivation. Not getting civilized is about having a savage mentality. Civilized is something where people, it's a comfortable world. For instance, I see these athletes right now who retire. I'm 38, I'm 39. I did 20 years at the top of my game, and I'm chilling out now. You see them a year later, and how they look. What the hell just happened to you? What the hell? You're one of the greatest athletes of all time. Kids looked up to you. Women, men, all ages looked up to you. And they hit the pinnacle where it's time to retire, and their mind says, I'm civilized. The worst thing that could ever happen to any human being is they become civilized. It's that total accountability. I was the baddest person to ever live. It doesn't go away, man. You got to wake up. Even though you retired, you never retired. You're setting the example every single day of your life. And being civilized feels so good. I'm sorry, man. Once you get to the top, you may retire, but you ain't never coming back home, man, because now you're judged. People see you falling off. You want to be that guy who knows I may be retired from the sport or forever I did, but I'll be damned if you ever see me not arriving. I've arrived mentality. You're always setting the example. Civilization feels so good. These comfortable feelings are what people want. They want retirement. They want that. They need that. It's a yearning feeling. I want it too. People love putting a label on me about, my God, man, you're just wired different. I'm not wired different, dude. I'm thinking right now, after I got past my stuttering thing, now I'm on a roll, I'm good now. You know what I'm thinking about right now? I gotta wake up tomorrow and do the same again. I gotta leave this interview and go stretch out for 2.5 hours. I hate that. But guess what it does though? I'm constantly callousing over my victim's mentality that I once had growing up. Every day you have to do this. Because why? When you stop doing it, you don't just maintain it. If you stop shooting a gun, you're not going to be a great shot when you pick a gun up a year from now. The only way to keep from getting rusty is to constantly oil that machine. The machine exists. You got to keep challenging it every day. For me, I'm not some naturally God-given guy. I don't have a great bit of talent in anything. So what got me through horrible times was the dark side. My name is David Goggins. I created Goggins. Goggins is the guy that can take anything you put in front of him. You want to break my legs? So be it. I have a way of going to a place like I did in that race where all the pain and suffering that they put on top of me in Hell Week, I will reverse that pain and suffering, and I will take your soul. So every instructor that put me through BUD/S, my job, what drove me, was I wanted you to go home that night after I smiled in your face. I wanted you to feel worse than I did, and you were going home to a nice warm bed with your wife or your kids and a nice meal, and I was still out there in the grip, suffering for another 100 hours. I wanted you to think about me, knowing that I'm comfortable being very uncomfortable. And I want you to think about when you went through hell, how uncomfortable you were and how bad you wanted to quit, knowing I'm not thinking that way. So the dark side is something that I've designed. It's an evil place I can go that very few things can hurt me. I use the hurt you're trying to put on me. I flip it upside down and use it. You trying to use it for kryptonite? No. It's power pillars for me. I'm using it for strength. I just flip negative into positive. That's all it is. I knew going into everything I've ever done in my life, Navy SEAL training, 3 times before I got it. Everything I've ever done in my life took me 3 times before I got it. I knew that there was a huge possibility of failure. But what I gained from failure is this. When you see a movie, and you watch a movie about a person who keeps failing, and at the end, they succeed. How do you feel as you watch it? Amazing, right? I become the movie. I want to feel how I feel watching someone else in a movie. When I watched Rocky get his ass kicked, and I watched all these different things of failure, I was able to put myself there and say, God, man, how much do you feel now that you finally got there? That's what failure has done to me. I've watched so many things and watched someone succeed at the end of it. It's like, God, I want to feel like that. But failure causes that one feeling. Without that failure involved, you don't have that feeling. If you just pass and you succeed and you're great, that feeling, yeah, okay, I'm good. What takes you years, months, years to accomplish because you just can't get over the hump, but you continue going back to the drawing board. You're looking for those few seconds after you finally figure out the equation, whatever the equation may be, to get you to finally pass, to succeed. I live for that feeling, but I can't get that feeling without going through, I feel this equation, I feel this one, I feel this one, I feel this one. Oh, I'm figuring it out. So you start to feel it before you even pass, before you even get to the success part. And then once you succeed, the feeling is unbelievable. And you take that feeling of success through failure and you put it in your cookie jar. And you say, I'll come back and get you again. I'm going to need you again down the road in my life to call on you.
When I was in training, we had a guy with this funky ass attitude. Tried it every day. It was contagious. He just wouldn't go away, he wouldn't quit. So I knew there's one evolution out there that he'd think about quitting on. It was called steel pier. They lay you on this steel pier, they hold you down. It's windy and cold in San Diego. They put you in the water and you repeat that cycle. We're in the water treadmill. He looks at me and goes, Goggins, you want to quit? I go, yeah, let's get out of here, man. We walk to the bell. He rings it. He looks at me, waits for me to ring it. I said, well, stay a little longer. Have fun in your civilian life. Hey, you got a bad attitude? Stay at home. Only more contagious than a good attitude is a bad one. Stay hard.
And this is where I got taken souls from. If you look at round 14 of Rocky 1, Apollo is beating Rocky. Rocky falls down in this corner. Mickey's saying, stay down, stay down. Rocky didn't hear a soul. Apollo, after he knocked him down, turns around, hands in the air, like I finally knocked down this animal. Apollo doesn't know it, but Rocky is getting up. Apollo turns around the second Rocky gets up. And Apollo looks at Rocky, and Apollo looks at him with a look of like Rocky just took his soul. Apollo shakes his head, and Rocky has his gloves and emotions towards Apollo. Come on, I'm still here. And this song comes on that I played. So when I broke the Guinness Book of World Records, it took me 17 hours to do 4,030 pull-ups. I listened to one song for 17 hours. 2 minutes and 17 seconds. I listened to that song for 17 hours, non-stop, on repeat. So the image in my mind of a man was not one that had earrings, sagged his pants. I had this image in my head, and I was going to fulfill that. And I didn't do any trends. I stopped trending. I stopped being this guy who whatever was new, that's not what I believe in. I'm doing this. This is what I want to be, and this is what I'm going to be. Let me tell you something.
Those that criticize others, they really got something going on with themselves, which is why they're criticizing you. Quick story. Had some family come in town, eating some breakfast. Goggins is nowhere to be found. I'm out for a little workout, a little run. I come back in for my run. Here come the jokes. Oh, let me guess. You were out running. You probably gotten 100 miles this morning. All the sarcasm, you know how it goes. I annoy people, and they let me know about it. They have no idea how annoying it is to me. Every morning I wake up, I get a chance to see your lazy ass in bed. Stay hard. People are hilarious. They are so threatened and jealous and insecure, and every word in between all that. When I was fat and lazy and insecure, struggling in school, struggling in life, people were giving me all this advice, trying to help me out. Well, I went on the other side of the spectrum. I lost weight, I got in shape, I started studying, I started becoming one of the hardest working people out there, and guess what? They still have to say. People don't want to see you better than them. That's what it comes down to. You make them feel good about themselves when you're fat and lazy. And you make them feel like crap when you come from the depths of hell and decide to make it. Stay hard. It might be April where you are, and you're expecting nice weather, but it's 20 degrees. So, you might be somewhere where it's too hot. So, you might have sore legs, sore back, sore shoulder. So, the struggle is real. It never gets any easier. You gotta get harder. I was out yesterday, getting after it. Had one of the best runs I've had in a long time. No one cares what you did yesterday. It only matters what you're doing today. Those who take me literally, so I'm a cheerleader for those who want to be better, not for those who want to stay the same. Stay hard.
I was haunted. So we all have these voices in our head. We like to not listen to them. The one that comforts us and keeps us nice and warm, cuddly, and gives us cookies and milk at nighttime. We like that voice. That voice is the one we want to always hear, which is why people don't like to listen to me a lot. Some people do, some people don't. The only thing that changes you is being real. So basically, I had to have the courage to go back in it because nothing was getting done. I kept on going to that nice, cuddly voice in my head saying, you know what? You don't need to do this. That's too much work, man. You've earned this. You deserve this. And that mentality got me to 297 pounds, fat, out of shape. To me, a loser. To me, making $1,000 a month and making a ton of mistakes. Because mistakes happen on the easy side of life. You take the easy road, the easy path, there's a lot of mistakes over there. The hard journey, you don't make too many mistakes over here because it's too hard. You don't want to repeat it. So it's challenging.
When I was in the military, I went to this school. It was all about projects. They give you a wheelbarrow with 5 people, but the wheelbarrow had no wheel. They give you big ass cinder blocks, 2x4s. And you had to get all that from point A to point B at one carry. They want you to get creative. And I was born with all kind of heart issues, lung issues, bone issues. So I had to get creative. I didn't have a lot to work with. A lot of you use that as an excuse. You don't have a lot to work with. So you want to die all preserved. Make sure you die being used up. Find out what you have and get maximum potential out of that. Stay hard. A few weeks ago, I was in the gym working out, and this NBA player walks in with his trainer. I could tell by the exercise they were doing, he was used to doing this 12 reps. Because when the trainer said, let's do 15 today, he got a little attitude. It became very clear to me on why he was one. Having that bare minimum attitude will keep your ass on that bench. If you heard what kind of she was being in that moment, he wouldn't have said it. It motivated me though. It was locked in my brain, it's still there now, on how we sounded. It kept me in the gym another 2 hours. The thing about it is this. It's not just the 3 reps that he failed to recognize. It's what happens in those 3 reps that make you better. Never do the bare minimum. Stay hard.
Honestly, I'm blessed enough to have survived the life I live and to come out the other side with a bunch of knowledge. So hopefully I can help people that believe that they're much less than what they truly are. Help them find greatness in themselves. And greatness isn't running 200 miles at a time or doing 4,000 push-ups or being SEAL. Greatness is whatever the hell you dreamed of in your own mind. You gotta first see it. You gotta first create this vision in your mind. And then that's when I come into play. Once you create this vision in your mind, it's how am I gonna get there? And that's when I come into play. But first you gotta create your own vision. And it's not external. It's the vision created is inside of you. Most of this generation quits the second they get talked to. You did this wrong, or they get yelled at. It's so easy to be great nowadays because most people are weak. This is a softened generation. So if you have any mental toughness, any ability, if you have any fraction of self-discipline, the ability to not want to do it but still do it. People have a hard thing understand. I hate to run. And what makes me so crazy, it doesn't anymore. You go, well, why do you run if you hate it? What are you talking about? I don't want to take showers and eat either. I hate that too. That's life, man. It wasn't until I changed that mentality that I became somebody. I hated going to school. So guess what? I was dumb. That's what 1 + 1 is 2. But if you can get through to doing things that you hate to do, on the other side is greatness. That's what people understand. By me running, I am callous in my mind. I'm not training for a race. I'm training for life. I'm training for the time when I get that 2 o'clock in the morning call that my mom is dead or something happens tragic in life. I don't fall apart. I'm training my mind and my body and my spirit so it's all one, so I can handle what life is going to throw at me. Because the life I've lived, it throws a whole bunch at you. And if you're not physically and mentally prepared for that, you're just going to crumble and you're good for nobody.
So me and my cousin, we were coming home from this party. My grandmother told us not to go to the party. Come home at a certain time. We didn't come home at a certain time, and we were like miles and miles out in Brazil, Indiana. And she said, well, no one's picking you up, so you're gonna walk home. So we start walking home, and it's a trek. I mean, it's not like 2 or 3 miles, man. This is a trek. So we're walking on these roads, and this truck passes us by, and they yell outside the tag-on truck, and you know, I had bomber jacket on, so my cousin, 23 Michael Jordan jacket, he had on a Lakers jacket, something like that. So we keep on walking, and the truck pulls around, skids on the side of this gravel, and my cousin starts to literally oh, what's going on? And at this time, my mentality started to change. So I went from this very scared, afraid kid to where my mentality started to change. I started to becoming a very different person mentally. And the guys got out of the car, and this one kid put a gun right to my forehead while my cousin was creeping across the street trying to get away. And I just stood there and looked at it. And they talked some shit. And I thought for sure he was gonna kill me, and I didn't really give a crap. And he got in the car and took off after that. So I pretty much never saw them again.
So I had a Q&A this weekend. There's one guy there was super frustrated. So he's like, I gained 20 pounds. I can't find my why. I can't find my purpose. I can't find motivation. Can't find a gym. He went on and on. So I said, hey, okay, relax. Just relax. Can you find your balls? Once you locate those, I need you to grab them. After you grab them, I need you to go find some shoes. If you got some shoes, you can go walk. You can go run. As far as the gym you can't find, do you have a floor where you live? Do some push-ups. Do some sit-ups. We're waiting to find purpose. We're waiting to find why. We're waiting to find all this before we start. The thing about it is this. Start now. So when you find your purpose, and you find your why, you can get after it. Stay hard. Each thing that is wrong with you has to be a focal point. You can't look at this gigantic list and say, I gotta change all this. My God, this is crazy. No. You take off the first one. I want to be smarter. For me, that was my thing. I have to become more intelligent. I have such a severe learning disability. I had to now get that one thing and then strategize in that one problem. How can I do this? I'm not going to learn like you. I'm not going to learn like anybody else. How am I going to figure this out? So I then figured out, okay, where are my strengths here? Where are my weaknesses in learning? All right, man. How am I going to do this? And I figured out a way to do it by just strategizing. So how I learn to this day, if I have a big manual to study, I will have to get a bunch of spiral notebooks from the daggone store. And each page, I have to write each page out, maybe 10 times. So there was a 1,000-page dive manual that I got 18 months before I went to dive school. Most people, I'm not smart, I'm gonna go see if I can pass this test. I realized, hang on a second, I'm not smart. How can I get past this? How can I get through this obstacle? I need to acquire this book 18 months in advance because it could take me 18 months to write down each page over and over again to then put it to memory. So when the question came up, I had written that question so many times down in that paper that I can recall, okay, page 71 was where I remember seeing this. And I can recall it that way. And that's how I did it. So you got to strategize on each problem you have in life. Slowly break down that problem. Don't think about all the problems you have, just one at a time. And before you know it, you fix all these problems, but you cannot focus on all of them. Just on the one thing at a time. I don't enjoy it. It's necessary. It's necessary. So every morning I wake up, it's not just about working out, but for me, working out has been a very big part of my mental growth. So for me, if I am not challenging myself every day, I swear to God, people will not believe it. I was over almost 300 pounds twice in my life. A person that does that twice in his life does not enjoy cardiovascular activity. Okay? Yeah. So people can put anything they want to in their head. I did realize one thing. The things I don't enjoy that I still do, that's where growth is at. And that's, for me, the only place growth is at, is in that very uncomfortable zone. So I have to visit it every single day. I realized at a young age how to change myself was through discipline. And the military didn't teach me that. It was something I realized I had zero discipline, zero self-discipline. And I realized I have to start developing this. And I started really because I was horrible at reading and I was horrible at writing. I have so many learning disabilities, it's not even funny. So I just sit down at the table and spend so much time in this reading and writing and learning. And that kind of translated over to my self-discipline with working out. So that's where it started. I started when I was about 16 years old and said, well, I'm a fourth grade reading level. You know, let me go ahead now and start really focusing because I'm not going to get in the military and I got to pass the test. So that's where it started for me. It happened when I could never get over the hump. I kept on feeling like I was getting over the hump. And then one little windstorm, small little windstorm would come by and push me back to scratch. It's like, why? Why am I not, I'm learning how to read now. I was a junior in high school and couldn't read that well, a fourth grade reading level, because I would cheat on everything. And I learned how to read, I learned how to write. I taught myself all these things, all these disciplines. But whenever the first real big challenge would come, that little windstorm would push me back in the hole. And I realized, man, I'm fixing stuff on a surface level. I'm all surface, man. I'm not going deep into the cellar of my mind in fixing the foundation of my soul. My soul is broken. But I knew I could fix it, but I was afraid to go back. I was afraid to face the demons of my life because you start lying. You want anybody knowing this about you. So you start lying about who you're not and start creating a person about who you want to be, but that's not who you are. So that's when I started realizing, man, I'm never going to get over the hurdle. I'm always going to live on a surface level until I go deep, deep into the sewer of my mind to figure out and face all of these different demons. That's hard. It's hard. We all like social media. We all like everybody to see us for who we want to be. That's why we post beautiful things about us. That's not going to fix you. So what happened in my life was we start to get, I call it like the rucksack. A rucksack is a pack that you carry in the military and you put all your stuff in. Your radios, your food, your water, all that stuff you have to carry in the military. That's your rucksack. It's the backpack. As you're growing up, we all have a backpack. Most of ours, hopefully, is empty, and what we put in it is all the crap we go through in life. That's what is in the backpack for the civilians, and we carry it around with us. So what you have to start doing is realizing that no matter where you're at in life, my dad abused me, learning disabilities, stutters, immaturity, insecurities, self-doubt, so much crap on top of me. So much stuff. I lied a lot to create friends. So much stuff was in my backpack. No one's coming back to help me. So it starts with that person in that mirror. You have to realize you are on your own now. And whatever else you believe in, I don't care what you believe in, but on earth, it's a very lonely journey. And it starts with the accountability mirror, looking at saying, hey, my dad who beat the hell out of me is not coming back. All these things are coming back. I have to face myself. And you have to own all those things that people may have done to you. Now it's yours. You got to own it. And it's yours now to fix the problems that people did to you. It makes no sense. It's not fair. I get it. But if you live in that woe is me mentality of guess what? My dad did this to me. My mom did this to me. People who bullied did this to me. You're going to always live right there. You have to figure out ways to move forward because you're not coming back. It starts with the mirror. I call it the accountability mirror in the book.
I have so many conversations in my mind because so many times I want to quit, but this is what is it. This is what I forget out. I was so afraid of myself that I had to figure out I became a master of my mind. When you are afraid of some things you have to master is that how you start to overcome it. So what I realize when I get to that point where I want to quit, this is what happens. That mind tells you let's go home. Let's take a so let's get some food. Think is not right. This is theme. If you cannot any answer the question at that moment because you mind gonna start giving you all those qualifications, all those, and if you can't avoid them. When I was going thought 100 million rich, 200 million riches pulls up record my mind. What come creeping in like I was doing. 200 pulls up, 2000 pulls up, and my head and repeat open my mind side a look brother. Open mind side look brother, we have done all those other things. You have proved yourself you are good. If I didn't have the answer to response to my mind and say when I hear why I am doing, you will always lose that fight. You have to have to what your mind is going to tell you another thing about that.